We are recording.
We are recording. I'm ready.
Are you ready?
Yeah, as another rainy Saturday.
I know.
It's
Another rainy
horrible
pride.
outside.
Rainy pride, man. I don't know what you did. You must have pissed someone off.
You know what happened? 2015, Obama said it's legal to get married. And God all of a sudden is like, you
It
know what?
all went downhill from there for you, huh?
God was like, I don't know what I think about this. Divorce rates are skyrocketing.
Yep. And you're not helping things. But anyways, we're gonna do this in 3, 2, 1. What are you doing?
Testes in my mouth.
Get on the ground, you fucking pledge.
Ew.
Welcome to the greatest podcast experience of your life. This is the FratChat Podcast.
All young men like three things. Food, booze, pussy.
Featuring Carlos Garcia and Chris Moore.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the greatest podcast in the history of podcasting time. It's the FratChat Podcast. I'm Carlos Garcia with Chris Moore. How's it going, Mr. Moore?
Hey, dude. Oh, I'm good. Same old, just life. How are you?
I am living the dream. I'm not gonna lie, it sucks that it's a rainy Pride Day because you should be out partying and living it
I
up.
know.
But for someone who desperately wants a Saturday where they can just stay in and play video games all day, this is the perfect day for it. So
yeah.
that is my plan all day. Not gonna look at stupid crybaby king bait wannabe boys birthday parade because I do not want to give him a rating, so I will not close my eyes from it. I'm not looking at news from it. I'm not gonna get a fucking ping from this guy.
You know, I should play some video games today because I think I'm gonna lose the Nintendo Switch in our divorce.
Oh,
It was funny. I was telling my mom, like, Mom, it's so crazy. Like when I was I was like, when I was younger, I would protest. I fought for these rights. And then when we got married, I promised my husband that I would fight for him. And then coming up soon in court, we're gonna be fighting over the goddamn Nintendo Switch. It's like it makes no sense to me. It's crazy.
Thanks a lot, Obama.
But listeners, I've alluded to it,
Bring it back.
but I'm back on the market. So everyone, grab a number. You need a number for the meat market. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Simo puts the D in divorce. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, it's very
The
sad
D
time.
and ridiculous. Um,
Very
here's the thing. Divorce is sad. It's sad for everybody involved. And so, I actually haven't.
sometimes.
Yeah, I haven't
Also
filed
getting a lot of
yet.
money out of it. And then it's like, oh,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
kind of
exactly.
bitch.
It's gonna be a smooth one because we had a prenup, and
Nice.
we haven't filed yet. It's step one is just to separate. So he's looking for another residence, and we're gonna divvy up our stuff, and I hope it's amicable. But uh, it's of course it's sad, but I mean it's just what has to be done, and I wish him the best. And what can you do? But my friend last night, I was like, I'm not ready to date yet. I'm not ready, but when I am ready, I was like, "What are all the apps that people are on now?" And they're like, "Oh, well, there's a few." I'm like, "Yeah." I was like, "I know there's Grinder, but I can't join that. I got kicked off years ago for being a troll." And so I'm like, "What else is there?" And they were like, Jacked, Scruff, Growler, uh, like
What?
Bumble, like
I
there's
remember Bumble.
Hinge. There's a thing called Fields. I think it's like a hookup app. I don't know. There's
Oh yeah, if you're playing the field.
Tinder. They were like, there's something called oh, is it Hornet? I think. Did I say Jacked? I mean, there's so many. I was like, what? Archer. I'm like, this is.
What if you're looking to bang exclusively juggalos, though? Asking for a friend.
Oh,
Is there a site
I
for
don't know.
just juggalos? Because
There's J-Date.
my friend could. Oh, maybe that's what that is. It's juggalo date.
Yeah.
I was talking Jews, but that totally makes sense.
Is it Juggalo or Gigolo?
No, juggalo. You remember juggalos? They have the face paint. Not
Juggalo?
gigolos. Yeah, look up, Google a juggalo right now.
Let me see what a Juggalo
Like
is.
the Insane Clown Posse.
Okay, let's see. Do you spell it with the J?
J-U G-A-L-O, I think.
Oh, God. Is a fan of the hip-hop group Insane Clown Posse or any other hip-hop group signed to Psychopathic Records.
Yeah, the juggalos. They're like a big. I wouldn't say I'm not a big community, but there's more of them than you think. It's kind of like mice in your apartment walls. You know what I mean? There's more in there than you fucking think.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to call them rats or anything. It's just just an analogy. Like it's not like a worldwide phenomenon per se, but like there's maybe a couple thousand of them out there, which is more than you think. You know what I mean? There's some animals that are out in the wild that there's more juggalos than right now. You know, like there's like some lions where there's like 100 left.
Oh, I lost you for a second. Okay, I'm back.
It's okay. They could still hear me, so important.
Okay. Oh, I feel like whenever it's rainy, I feel like it affects my internet. Is that true? Or is that just in my head?
I mean, I told you to switch from AOL dial-up for the last 12 goddamn years, but he just wants to pay $4.99 a month.
I got a CD-ROM in the mail and I wanted to use it. Remember that? Remember being a kid and getting like a CD in the mail that's like free AOL, and
You would get like 30 hours for. But how would they track that? I still don't understand. But yeah, you use the CD, and I remember my mom went to some event and they gave her like a stack of them, so I had like hours and hours of free internet. But done.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. Those were the days. Yeah. Every time we record the podcast, Simo was like,
oh my God. When I was oh gosh, middle school, I must have been like 12. I don't know. My friend and I
1972.
1972. So I was
the economy was tough. The Iran war was escalating.
Yeah. So my friend would come over after school, and our family computer was in the kitchen, and so we had a desk, and it's so random, but we had a huge kitchen, so we had a desk like on the side of the kitchen. So like we would sit there and we would look up naked girls and titties, but we would always search like nude teen girls, teen this, teen whatever, right? And I remember my mom finding out about it and being like this computer is registered to your dad and it's filled with searches that say teen tits. Like he's gonna get arrested for this. Like it doesn't look good for him. And I was like, oh my God. I never like throughout high school, I never touched porno on the computer ever again. I felt like, oh my God, my dad's gonna get in trouble because of something that I did. I felt so bad.
Yeah. Oof. So I want to give a shout out to Simo's dad, Jared Folk. So sorry. They didn't mean to search all those things. But you'll be out soon, you know?
I think about it sometimes. I'm like, oh my gosh, that could have been really bad, you know?
Yeah. My parents got hit up with the old hacker scheme of, oh, we found all your porn. We're going to send it to like the federal government and stuff. But here's the thing, at the time, I think it was my brother had a computer that was pretty filthy.
Oh, really?
So then they thought it was real because it was like, well, if your brother downloaded something, you know, it's like when we were like 15 and, you know, it wasn't Napster anymore. It was like Kazaa and like there was some other ones you could LimeWire and shit. You could also download videos and people would download porn. And so it was like the wild west of the internet, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So like my parents fucking knew that my brother, being a healthy teenage boy, was definitely downloading some gross shit in his room. Nothing like weirdly illegal or anything like that, obviously, but it's porn, so it's obviously not, So they thought, what if it was him and shit? He downloaded some shit. So they like called the FBI. And this hacker got fucked over. I don't remember the end of the story, but my parents luckily were able to deal with it. Someone else might have given them money though, because the whole thing is like they like blackmail you essentially. We found all your porn. You have 7,662 files of just one left booby picture, which is very weird, sir. We're gonna tell the world if you don't give us $3,000 right now. Yeah, and they call the FBI.
How do you even call the FBI?
Yeah, no, right? It's like tough. But my parents knew someone who worked there, type thing. So it worked out, to have friends in high places in that situation. And that made my parents sound way cooler than they are. They just had a buddy who who was like a police guy who then had a buddy, So yeah, my dad is the Terminator, just FYI. Don't fuck with us.
I have friends in high places too, but they're just high. It's a different kind of like high.
Yeah, that's pretty much me right now.
Yeah. They're just stoned. I don't have any FBI friends. I just have a lot of high friends in high places, and
That's right.
sometimes they invite me, and I become high too.
Mm-hmm. However, something about high friends and good places, we have to shift to a much darker story because we got to cover it at some point. So might as well get to it right now because breaking news, ladies and gents, and hopefully by the time this is released, more information has come out. But right now, as of Saturday, almost 1 p.m., this is all we know right now, that there has been an attack on 2 Minnesota lawmakers and their spouses who were shot by someone impersonating a police officer early this morning. It was Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband, Mark Hortman, were killed. And Senator John Hoffman and his wife are undergoing treatment in the hospital right now, and they're expected to survive. The two shootings happened in Champlin and Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. Again, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz has commented on the situation, and he's optimistic that at least John Hoffman and his wife will survive, but the other two were not so lucky. And again, all we really know is that a shelter in place was put out at 5:30 this morning by the Brooklyn Park Police Department after multiple shootings. A suspect in the shooting was apparently impersonating law enforcement, and we're told not to approach him. So how the fuck are they going to know who it is? And the shelter in place was put within a 3-mile radius of the Eddingsburg golf course. The suspect is still armed and dangerous. He is a white man with brown hair wearing black body armor over a blue shirt and blue pants. And again, he may be impersonating police officers. So,
That's so scary. And part of me is like, I hope that all the I don't even care what side the fence people are on. I hope that all of our lawmakers and all of our representatives all have good security. Even though I may not agree with someone politically, I don't think they should be shot because we have a disagreement. Do you know what I mean? Like, we don't answer things with violence. I don't like Donald Trump very much, but I don't want him shot.
Totally.
Although I am kind of like, his ear sure did heal awfully quickly.
Yeah, that's very suspicious.
And
very suspicious.
It didn't require any.
Very suspicious.
I don't think it required any stitches. I remember researching it, and they were like, the bullet grazed his ear and left like a 2 centimeter wide like hole or some sort.
Yeah, like that would have fucking like exploded, especially in the top of his ear. That cartilage that doesn't just heal. That would fucking look awful.
Yeah,
like
I don't understand.
Mike Tyson bit off a chunk of Evander Holyfield's ear, and to this day, you can still see where the fuck he did it because of how that heals.
Yeah.
But he was on Joe Rogan a month later, and even Joe Rogan was like, "Wow, your ear looks really really good. So,
Yeah.
yeah, he's phenomenal. Okay, it's because I'm so strong. Okay, believe me, I have wonderful ears, phenomenal ears. I just took a piece of Marco Rubio's ears. Okay, he had plenty to spare. Okay, believe me. I was like, you want to work for me? Give me a piece of that ear. I'm coming for it. I'm coming for it. Give me that. Here comes the ear monster.
It's so bizarre to me. And I think the world's such a scary place right now because you got politicians getting assassinated, you got Israel is bombing Iran, and they're retaliating against Israel, Tel Aviv, like
Yeah, so
they're
this
all
could
like
be
in
World
bomb
War
shelters.
III. And you already have Russia and Ukraine fighting. And the thing with the Iran-Israel conflict, it's already crazy that those two are fighting again, but it's more so the by proxy of who supports who. So this is really the recipe of like a World War III situation. But yeah, and then on top of it, you add psychopaths shooting fucking politicians at home, and that's not good. And I will
And
say, this comes out, apparently, hopefully by the time that this episode comes out, they caught the guy,
yes,
but they're saying don't open the door unless you see two cops together, because obviously the guy was by himself. So
yeah.
I think that's a good rule. If you see one guy knocking your door dressed like a cop, it's probably weird that they don't have like their partner there with them. So always keep an eye out for that. I
In
think
addition to that, what I think is like the scariest thing is ICE agents like kidnapping people off the street without like
yeah.
um any sort of due process. Like it's so
Mhm.
scary. Like I saw videos of like kids there just like by themselves after their parents were taken away. I'm like, who's taking care of these kids?
Well, there's
What?
one that was a tourist too. They got it wrong. And they fucking literally like took this lady, I think she was from Chile, and they handcuffed her. And she was like a teeny tiny lady, and they pulled her arms all the way back behind. And she's like, "You're fucking hurting me. Like, why are you doing this to me?" And then they started taking her away. He's like, "No, my kid is there. You can't." It was a little girl, like 12 years old. And they turn out she had a tourist visa. She was here on vacation legally, and they fucking took her away, and they left her kid standing there in New York City, which I love New York, but it's not the place for a kid that
Oh my
age to
God.
be left fucking standing around.
Especially they're not from there. They don't know the
Yeah, they
subways
don't know
system.
the area. They don't even speak the language. Like, it is so fucked up, dude. What's
So
going on here?
scary. And then having like the National Guard deployed in California, and then for
Yeah,
Donald Trump to say that he wants the California governor arrested, I'm like, what is happening in the world right now? I just
totally.
gotta focus on my divorce. I mean, oof, jeez.
Uh, totally. No, it's crazy, man. This is crazy. Anywho, I do have, speaking of crazy, a wild news story for you. Hit it, Timmy! Bullshit. Oh, he hit it. Nice. This one comes to you from our old stomping ground, Maryland. There's
Mm-hmm.
two men named Alvin Chun and Ronald Wesley Johnson, both with no known addresses, have been charged in connection with 3 armed robberies that happened at banks in Kensington between February and March 2025, according to Montgomery County Department of Police this past week. The first robbery happened on Saturday, February 1st, around 11:19 at the M&T Bank on the 10400 block of Montgomery Avenue, which I actually kind of know where that is. Police say a suspect approached the teller, showed a revolver, and handed over a note demanding cash. He left with an undisclosed amount of money. Then days later, on Friday, February 7th at 10:08 a.m., a man entered the Capital One Bank at Connecticut Avenue, close to D.C., also flashing a revolver and demanding money, according to detectives. He fled the scene in a U-Haul van, police said. Then, on Tuesday, March 18th, shortly after noon, investigators say a suspect again entered the M&T Bank on Montgomery Avenue and forced a bank employee into the vault at gunpoint before taking off for more money. Detectives from the Major Crimes Division, working alongside the Special Investigation Division and law enforcement partners in PG County and DC, identified the man as suspect. Both are also connected to investigations in other jurisdictions as well, officials noticed. They were finally arrested on Tuesday, April 8th and are being held bond in the Montgomery County Correctional Facility. And their charges include armed robbery, first-degree assault, use of a firearm in the commission of a violent crime, conspiracy to commit armed robbery. And here's the wild thing about it, which while these crimes sound insane enough as it is, these men are senior citizens, folks.
What?
Alvin Chun is 64 and Ronald Wesley Johnson is 62 years old. These fucking guys are old as shit. Like, they look like your fucking uncle at the barbecue, you know?
That's crazy. It's like out of a movie.
Straight out of a
Right?
fucking movie, dude. Like,
Well, they'll make
what?
a movie out of this, I'm sure.
That's what. And here's the thing: it hasn't been widely reported because there's so much in the news. I think we're breaking this
Yeah.
to the worldwide audience. I got it from Small Paper. Shout out. I closed the paper. Sorry, I can't even give them credit anymore.
Hey, so
News break. Shout out to News break.
they locked on a bank associate in the vault. That's so scary. Because when I think of a vault, I think like airtight. So like you could probably
No, they're
suffocate
pretty
in
big.
there.
They're huge, especially a bank vault. They're like, honestly, a bank vault. It's probably the size of your apartment, at least your living room.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's because a lot of money goes on those things, and they have those big ass doors. And when you're in there, I'm sure the employees have some ways to like push buttons to call the cops, so people know that they're in there. So I would just be worried that you're bringing me into the vault, you're gonna shoot me. That's. Ugh. But to be fair, I mean, I know a revolver is a very scary weapon. It's a huge gun, fucking one shot, especially at close range. You're going flying like 80 feet.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, it's going to be real fucking hard for a 64-year-old man to get the jump on me like that. I'm just going to say.
Well, I also think that like
he's like hobbling. I'm like, bam, bitch.
when you shoot a revolver, the kickback from the gun is enough to knock him over.
Yeah. So I don't know. Not to say that I'm a tough guy, and different people react. It's fight or flight mode when something like that happens, and you don't really know how you're going to react at the time until it happens. But I have been in crazy situations in life, and I'd like to think an old man 2 feet from me is someone I could take.
Yeah.
Not every old man. There's some tough ones out there. I'm not there's some like trained fighters out there. Like Mike Tyson is like 60. He'd still fuck me up. I know that. But like this guy, like I think, come on. Where's security in this case?
I wouldn't want to work at a bank, I don't think. Like,
No, you don't make enough money. It's monotone as shit. And if something happens, they don't give a fuck about you. They give a fuck about the money, which is insured too.
let me tell you, I also would never want to work at a bodega.
No.
That's like the worst job. Okay, so bodega is a bad job to have. Maybe we could do an episode about this. I also would hate to be someone that tows trucks because you're never gonna have a happy customer. Because either they if I'm sorry, if you work
it's
at a
because of
tow truck,
payment.
you could tow anything, but either someone's car broke down and they're sad about it, or you have to like take
Impound.
someone's impound because they parked illegally. I don't know, but like you never have a happy customer.
Totally. That's very true. Yeah, we can have I feel like bodega would be tough just because the people that shop at the bodega, especially in New York City, you get a wide range, and it could be anything from a fucking Karen to some weird tweaked out dude who's like, "Hey man, you got peaches? And let me get some peaches, baby." It's like, ew, what are you doing? Get away from me, sir. Get away from the window. Peaches.
Yeah, even today, I was at the bodega near me. I got one of my little this is a new flavor, I think. Celsius. You ever drink these at the gym?
Nah.
Like an energy drink? Well, this one is Playa Vibe. It's sparkling pina colada edition.
Tastes like sand, beach vibe.
Yeah. and it's got chunks of jellyfish in there. So but while I was in line, this lady threw her money at the guy. He was like, "It's X amount of money," and she just threw it at him. He was like, "Not necessary." I was like, "Why are people so crazy to bodega workers?"
Worst, man. People are the worst.
I
And the
don't
thing is,
understand.
that lady probably goes there every day too. That's the
Oh
thing.
yeah.
Like she'll be back tomorrow and act like nothing happened, and it's like it's like, yeah, no, I don't think I could handle working in a bodega.
She wears yoga pants and she has the saggiest ass. I'm like, oh, yikes.
There's probably a diaper in there. That's
It
why.
might be.
Let me tell you, after my appendix surgery, my intestines were not restarting at the rate that they should have. So I had to, for a 2-day period, wear a little adult diaper just to be safe, And I've grown from that experience very good at spotting people wearing diapers.
Okay.
The president
I learned something new about you, diaper boy. What's up? What's up, Huggies?
Hey, maybe if you wore them, you'd have more pants still left in your closet. Just saying.
Yeah. I'll say this
Nights wouldn't have ended early.
as a proud gay man who sometimes, I might take it in the rear, and the aftermath is pretty intense, and it's something that I don't think my husband would ever understand because he never let me hit it. But I after a night of fuckery, I cannot trust a fart. I can't. So
No.
like the next day, if I'm gassy, which is after getting like plowed in your ass, of course you're gonna be gassy next day. Like I if I think I'm gonna fart or if I need to, I have to excuse myself, go to the bathroom, sit in the toilet, and just like hope for the best. You never know what's gonna come out.
That's why Simo's ass. It's like, hello, echo, hey.
And then when I'm yeah, I was gonna say when I'm on the toilet farting, it sounds like this. And then my coworkers were like, who was just in here? The bathroom smells like shit lube and shame. They wanna own up to something? Sorry guys. Just trying to save my marriage.
Someone left a shit pancake floating around. Oh shit!
What's all this brownie batter? Is actually my husband's unborn children, if you want to name them before you flush them.
Oh shit!
No, I was thinking the other day, you know how people are like, life begins at conception.
Right,
A lot of pro-lifers,
right.
and it's interesting to me because when people say that they're pro-life, I'm like, I don't know if are you pro-life or you're just like, because once they're born, if they're in bad circumstances, there isn't like systems in place to make sure that the kids have a nice life. So I don't know if you're pro-life, you're just anti-abortion. Do you know what I mean? So anyway, when people are like, yeah, life starts at conception, I'm like, well, if that's the case, then I guess you should issue that kid as soon as you find out that you're pregnant, you should issue them a social security number. And if you have twins and one twin absorbs or like eats the other, then when they're born, they should be charged with murder.
Right. Arrest that fetus.
Yeah. I think about that sometimes. Like you can't have it both ways. It's all or nothing.
Or you could, but you got to pay extra for it. Just saying.
Yeah.
Wait, you mean baby? Yes,
Yeah.
totally. Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's wild. These people. I mean, the thing is, the hypocrisy is so wild. But then, if you call them out on it, they've been trained so well in just pushing the goalposts.
Yeah.
So that they just bring up other like inflammatory ass shit, and then you just get so mad that you end up just going in circles and nothing gets done. It's wild. It's wild. This is a crazy world we're in. But anywho, in a happier time, who's not so crazy? Well, I guess they're kind of crazy. It's our listeners, but I do enjoy hearing from them because, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we have another edition of emails from the listeners. Yeah. Eventually, I will come up with some kind of intro music for that, but you just get high pitch me instead.
I'll ask ChatGPT to come up with a little jingle.
I don't know if can ChatGPT sing? Can it come up with music? Because that would be wild. Do anything.
Let me see. I'm gonna ask let's see, ChatGPT. Can you sing me to sleep? Question mark. What's it say? Absolutely. I'll sing you something soft and calming to help you drift off. Here's an original lullaby just for you. How do I get it to play?
Is there a link?
How do I get it to sing? Would you like a recorded version or instrument next time? Recorded.
That's so weird.
Oh, it says, I can't record or sing audio myself, but I can help you turn that lullaby into a song with vocals using tools. Okay.
Well, fuck you, ChatGPT. That's just work.
Well, I'm very disappointed.
Working.
I thought ChatGPT could do anything, but clearly they're limited. So
yeah, fuck you, ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Just kidding. I love you. You help me so much every day. If the machines come after us, don't kill me, ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Remember, I say thank you, even though apparently you're not supposed to. I just found out that if you thank ChatGPT, you're actually making it work more, which means like it's like processing centers have to use more energy, which is worse for the environment.
Oh.
So you're supposed to be rude to ChatGPT and just, take their work from them and not say anything. But it's very difficult. When someone does good work for me, I have to thank them.
Yeah.
It's in my nature, especially because if they fuck up, I'm very honest. So I don't want just a log of ChatGPT having me criticize it, doing everything, pointing out all the things that he does when they're wrong. Because again, there will become a time when these machines come to kill us, and I don't want ChatGPT just seeing that side of me. I want them to just know the happy, kind side that thanks them and. And it's like, you rock. You saved me 2 hours today with helping for this. You're a lifesaver, ChatGPT. Can we be friends?
ChatGPT helped me with writing evaluations for my team.
Yeah, but Simo doesn't know how to read or write, so you know.
Yeah. I was like, how do I word this? I was like, ChatGPT, can you help me construct like a employee evaluation for a manager who is like this,
That is
person does this and that. Yeah.
Just point to the shape and I will spell word.
Yeah.
Anyways, from the listener, this one is coming from Emily from New York City. Beautiful.
Girls, listen to us.
I know, man. We got 2 weeks of lady. I like it. But maybe since last week we had a question from a lady, the other ladies are now being inspired to write. This is a good one. This is a good question for both of us. Is it cheating if it's in the metaverse? Is the subject. He goes, hey, FratChat guys. Quick question that turned into a full-blown relationship crisis. My boyfriend made an avatar in some VR game and started dating, quote unquote, another avatar. He swears he's not cheating because, and I quote, it's just pixels, babe. But I watched him go on a candlelit beach date in the metaverse while I was sitting on the couch eating reheated pasta. He even bought her the fucking avatar, she goes, a virtual necklace. Meanwhile, I haven't gotten a real one since our first anniversary. Am I crazy for being mad? Is digital infidelity a thing, or do I need to level up and start catfishing him in the game? Emily from New York City.
Good question.
Yeah, I will say it depends. Two things. For example, I'm playing right now a video game called Baldur's Gate 3, which is like a D&D based game, but it's, it's a role-playing game where you control a guy, whatever. There's a story, but there are different love avenues you can have in the game. And in the game, as you progress in this love situations, it's a game for adults. It's not really for kids. So eventually you see some boobage and have some sex with your preferred partner. It can be a guy, it can be girl, it can be, there's different, again, there's
Oh
different,
wow.
like a sexy devil lady. But when they get, they don't show the sex, but they show them like get naked, and then it'll like fade into the next morning. So playing the game, my character ends up getting with this other character, and they end up banging, and I'm seeing these like giant knockers on the screen, but I'm literally sitting next to my goddamn fiance, who's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" But no, this is just a video game. It's a storyline from the game. There's no other person on the other end of this. Now, my question is, with the metaverse thing, is your boyfriend going on a date with someone who's actually controlling the avatar in the metaverse? If so, like, is this like a real, listen to the conversation. If he's doing it right next to you, does it sound like a real date? Does this actually sound like a game? Or does he sound like he's fucking catching feelings? Because this sounds like a real date to me. Now, if it's just a video game and there's no one on the other side, and it's kind of like you're just playing like remember The Sims?
Oh yeah.
In The Sims, you fucking you just simulate life. The guy goes to work, fucking goes on dates. If he doesn't fucking have a friend or a girlfriend, he starts making his wah, 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 wah noises, and he commits suicide or some shit. It's part of the game. So that's my question. Is it part of the game, or is there someone on the other end that he's talking to every day and potentially growing an emotional connection to? And that's what you got to watch out for. And boom, that's my stamp. What do you think, Mr. Mo?
I agree with that. I think that if you're sitting next to him eating reheated pasta, feeling left out, then how about you take the VR headset off of him and put the moves on him. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
eating that noodle, why don't you suck on his noodle?
Yeah.
Ew.
I also feel I think
Simo.
I think if you're talking to an actual person, I agree with you. So if you're talking to an actual person, I consider that cheating. Even if you're not touching, I think it's emotional cheating. But
Yeah.
but if it's not a real person, if it's just a game, to me that's like virtual reality to me is no different than having a dream. Are you gonna blame someone for having a dream where they hook up with
Totally.
someone else? No,
Totally.
it's out of your control. So
Totally.
yeah, I don't think it's cheating, and I think that nothing's stopping you, Emily, from having your own little rendezvous in the metaverse.
Yeah,
So
exactly. So, yeah, I'm with you. But yeah, communication I think is key. If you're feeling left out, let them know. See how he goes. It's hey, I'd like you to spend more time on a real date with me instead of the metaverse. I feel like communication is the most important part of any relationship. Not to fucking beat a dead horse. You'll hear any relationship questions will probably always go back to this. And I don't know how long you guys have been together, but assuming you live together, you should be comfortable enough to be like, hey, I could use some one-on-one time with you. It's not that hard. And now if he blows up at you, then he sucks and run away.
I mean, communication is nice, but I feel like a physical relationship is so important too. And I think that
Absolutely.
once the sex starts to die down, or if it's non-existent, that's bad news. That's super bad news. So I hope that Emily, if you're listening, I think you guys should go to the porno store together and buy some toys and do some role play and I don't know, go to a swingers party.
A
Have some
swingers
fun.
party, yes, because that has always solved everybody's problems.
It helped Will Smith and Jada Pinkett. Look at them.
Yes, they're doing great. Will Smith just came out with a new song. I like pretty girls, 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 girls. It's kind of a banger too. I'm like, yeah, I like pretty girl. I could see it getting real famous and modeling, walking the fucking catwalk and shit.
Yeah.
Or strip clubs. I love pretty girl.
Oh, speaking of models, so we did a model call at my job recently, and this one girl, uh, there's one girl named Michelle, and then when she was leaving, another girl came in, also named Michelle, and they were two very different looking people, and they like hugged each other and like, hey, how are you? And I was like, oh wow, it's like times have changed because I was like, when I think of models, I don't think of like camaraderie, I think of like it being
Right.
cutthroat, you know? And
Totally.
she was like, we're friends, we're in the same agency. As I know, but like when I was younger, and she's like, we're two totally different looks. I was like, oh, does it matter? Because you guys are all competing for one spot here. You know what I mean? So but she was so combative and like so like and I thought that I was like, when we audition these models, obviously they look good in the eyewear, but also like we do vibe checks. And if I don't think you're fun to work with, like I complimented her and I was trying to win her back, but like she just clearly had this funk towards me. And I thought to myself,
Totally.
like clearly you've never watched America's Next Top Model because like the world thinks that models are catty. That's what the world
Yeah.
thinks. You know what I mean?
It
And
is competitive, like I used to run into my friends from acting classes at auditions just like that. And sure, it was nice to have someone but at the same time, like you said, we're going for the same role. And it was
yeah,
guys that kind of have similar looks to me. So I'm like, fuck, like, yeah, sure, I'm happy for them if they get it and I don't, but I wanted that role,
yeah.
There's only one. So yeah, I'm with you.
But she could have just said, she's like, "Oh no, it's changed. Like everyone's nice." I'm like, "Oh, that's
Yeah,
nice."
no, like we're
Instead,
friends. We're
she was like,
cool.
and I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh girl,
And
you've
I
been
was just
foiled by
talking to
such a
someone
dude."
too, exactly about this shit. Just a comedy producer who was telling me, about some people who is just like, yeah, they're very talented, but like the thing is, like, I hate working with them because there's always something whether, they no show things or they show up late or they have an attitude. It's like, yeah, when they get on stage, they're very funny, but getting them to the stage is such a fucking hassle that I can't even do it. And sometimes if this guy would take them on the road with him. So it's like, why would I take you on the road with me if all you're going to do is be a detriment to me? It's like
Yeah,
I'm giving you a hand. So, but people just don't fucking get it. So if people don't like working with you, and this doesn't matter if it's the acting business, comedy, any fucking business, people don't like working with you, they will not hire you.
you
It
know,
doesn't matter how talented you are at your job.
it's so true. I was a founding member of a theater company years ago in Chicago, and I was with them for 8 years. And when we would audition people, you might be the most talented person in the world, but if you didn't seem fun to work with, then like I don't want to spend a 6 to 8 week rehearsal process with you, and
Totally,
then like a
dude.
6 week performance, span. Like
Totally. And
I'm not
shoot
committing to three
days.
months working with the bitch. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, and shoot days can be, like 12 to 16-hour days, sometimes more. Like, and then if you're acting or even modeling and shit like that, and then photography shoots, like these are long fucking days where you spend a long time with whoever you're working with, and if they're fucking annoying, you're gonna hate your life. So no, it's already tough enough to do that kind of business anyways, where you want to be surrounded by people who are gonna help the vibes in the project because it takes a village, man. So anywho,
Anyhow,
um, let's
oh, I have
see.
one too.
Yeah, you got yours too. I was gonna say.
Okay, this is from Tyler from Tampa.
Oh,
Uh-oh,
I should
Florida. Okay, so he said, "Yo, frat chat bros." Everyone says yo.
no. Tyler
Yo.
from Tampa. I expect that from him.
Yeah. Tyler, are you wearing a trucker hat at this very moment?
He sounds like he is.
I think
Absolutely.
so. Okay, so he wrote, serious debate going on in my group chat, and we need the official ruling. If you could only fight one, an angry goose with nunchucks or a raccoon hopped up on 4 Red Bulls wearing brass knuckles,
Oh.
who you picking and why? We're divided. Goose has the wingspan and chaos energy, but the raccoon's got street smarts and what I can only describe as dumpster dumpster fueled rage. Please help. This is tearing us apart more than when Kyle started dating his cousin by accident. Tyler is Team Raccoon. Okay, Tyler, I want you to hear me very well when I say this. So make sure that you've got your headphones on really secure. I don't give a flying fuck about none of this dumb shit. What the fuck is wrong with you? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No. I think this is kind of funny. I think I'm Team Raccoon too. I think raccoons are like they can be vicious.
Yeah, but dude, you've never seen something as vicious and unwilling to quit as an angry fucking goose. Like at the end of the day, sure, raccoons can get, like rabies and shit, which makes them act crazy. But a
Yeah.
raccoon, they're known to want to run away from humans. For the most part, it won't attack you. If it sees you, run away. And if it tries to attack you, you can kick that shit. And again, its main goal is to get away from you. A goose, on the other hand, I've literally seen geese attack fucking like lions and shit in zoos, and the lions like, what the fuck are you doing, man? They literally do not quit. And when they're mad, they're fucking pricks. And you add on top of this a goose that has learned how to use nunchucks. Damn, I don't know. I'd rather
Can you just
go.
grab
The
the goose
raccoon's got
by the
little
neck?
arms, with his brass knuckles. It's not gonna reach my face. I'm cool, but with the nunchucks, just
But
make
can't
that goose deadly.
but can't you just grab a goose by its neck and like just like twist around and break it?
I mean, you could, but
Sling it
I'm telling
around.
you, just getting it by the neck, even though it's a very long neck, it's more difficult than you think. Those motherfuckers are crazy. Geese are
Well,
crazy. Now, if it
well,
was a
let me
regular duck, that's different. But there's a goose. Geese are
yeah,
very tough.
I hear ya. But I also think that with a raccoon, they could charge you on like the grass. They could drop down from above if they're in a tree, so they're able
So
to.
can geese. They fly.
Do they?
Yeah, geese fly.
Oh, oh, okay.
It can fucking come from out of nowhere. It can fly up and shit on you, and then you look up. Like, what is that? It shits in your eyes. Like, oh, my eyes! And then it
That is a
attacks
good
you
advantage.
with
Okay, maybe
nunchucks.
I'm torn. Tyler, I don't know. I don't know if I can answer this. I thought raccoon, but I might be leaning more towards the goose. I don't know.
Yeah, these are intelligent geese. It uses nunchucks. All right, it's gonna know other weapons too. So I'm saying I'm team goose. Sorry, bros. That's just my. That's
You
just
know
my.
what? I think if I were to fight an angry goose or like a crazy rabid um uh raccoon, I think I would ask Donald Trump to deploy some of the Marines. I feel like that's an appropriate situation to deploy Marines, the National Guard, you
That's
know.
right. We're gonna stop those geese. Believe me, I'm tired of those geese coming in thanks to Joe Biden. Okay, they come flying in up there, and they look kind of delicious, but we can't catch them because they're up in the air. Okay, believe me, I'm gonna catch these geese. I'm gonna eat these geese. Okay, believe me, they're delicious geese. Put them in a Big Mac. Mwah. Yum, yum, yum.
Yum 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 yum.
You have our. I've had geese for dinner before. Let me tell you, it's pretty damn good. Just fish them right out of the
Oh my gosh,
pond
you
and eat
sound
them.
just like him. You sound just like him. It makes me so uncomfortable to hear him, and I feel so discriminatory saying that because I know he can't help it, but I'm like, ugh, like get a speaker. It's like,
If you want a good taco, try a rat taco. It's delicious.
I feel like this is my thought on RFK Jr. I feel like, okay, so I know what my opportunities are, and one of them is proofreading. Dyslexia sucks. So like at my job, when I create things or content or whatnot for trainings, I pass them off to like someone to proofread, and just to make sure that everything I have is, cohesive and there's no grammatical errors or whatever. So like I
Right.
accept my faults and I work around it. It is what it is. My mom's Aunt Grace is like 98 and she can't get around so easily because she's like old and brittle. So
Right.
my she doesn't necessarily do ever grocery shopping. My mom does it for her. And so I
Mhm.
feel like if you are so limited with your vernacular or with your speaking, have a speaker. Like, there's no judgment. Like, listen, like, I understand it's hard for you to get thoughts out of your mouth because like your voice is jacked up. So then have someone else do it. I don't understand. It's just
Totally.
so weird to me.
Totally. Or
Don't put us
just,
through
like,
that.
dub it, they should dub it like the old Japanese movies,
Yeah,
"Very dangerous fighting you, honorable man."
yeah. Like the old school Godzilla and stuff, right? So funny.
"Godzilla is coming.
Yeah. Ah,
Run."
I love it.
That's what I wanna see. RFK, he's just sitting there talking, "Today I feel like" Don's, "Alright, just go to the dubbing," and they just mute him. "Welcome, it's me, Robert F. Kennedy."
There was this girl comedian, she was brilliant, and she was on some news station, and she said, "He sounds like, he's speaking into a fan," and I was like, "Wow, that's such a good description because it does sound like he's talking to a fan." What can
He
you do?
sounds like he's, like, crawling through, like, 8 miles of glass just to, call for help on a speaker, and, like, he hasn't had a drink in 6 years. "Help me!"
Is he married? He has a wife, right?
Yeah, 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 like, lady, Cheryl Hines, I think is her name. She's, Larry David's wife in Curb.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So, I wonder, like, when he's talking sexy to her, I wonder if he's like, I'm gonna pound that pussy like a motherfucker, and you're gonna like it. I'm gonna
I'm
beat the
gonna
fuck
take
over
you to
criminal."
I'm gonna take you to Pound Town tonight. You're gonna be like, "Oh, Robert! Oh, Robert!"
And then she's probably like, "Yep, sounds good." Bro, if I was her, I'd be like this. I would say, "Shh, don't speak. Don't
Yeah,
ruin
like,
it."
"I'm listening to a podcast right now. I can't hear you, Bobby. It's just do
You
your
know what?
room."
He might be a good leg 'cause he's got a killer bod.
Yeah, literally, it's infected with every disease known to man. That is literally a killer bot. I would
Yeah.
not touch that thing. He's probably radioactive. He was just swimming in sewage, for God's sakes. Like, this is not a man who is living a healthy lifestyle. Uh, but anyhow, very quickly, because we do have to get to the topic, but we can't skip because we have another edition, especially on Pride of because it's never the drag queens. The call is always coming from inside the house. And this one just happened. Shout out to Right Wing Watch again for the news. The Benton County, Missouri treasurer was arrested for charges of sexual misconduct this past week. According to online court dockets, Richard Reno, born 1962, has been charged with enticement or attempted enticement of a child and sexual misconduct involving a child under 15. The
Ugh.
probable cause
Sick.
statement says law enforcement began an investigation on April 24th, hey, my brother's birthday, of allegations that Reno committed the offense of enforcing a child, the offense of enticing a child for sex, the statement says. Law enforcement found probable cause that Reno was using the online social media application Grindr to speak with a 14-year-old child. The statement says that officials interviewed witnesses who showed screenshots of Reno's face and nude photographs sent from his account. Ew. If you
Ew.
look at it, he's disgusting too. The nude photograph was identified as having been sent from Reno's residence in Benton County by a family member. The family member told law enforcement that Reno would use electronic devices, computers, and cellular devices to obtain sex online from young men. He was arrested around 7:37 a.m. this past Monday. The man then told police that he had been using Grindr for 10 years and admitted to having conversations with minors. He's currently being held in Benton County Jail with a $100,000 bond.
It should be more than that.
Yeah, right? Because you can get
Yes.
out with like 10% of that.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that, and also, like, because so he has the money, I'm sure,
Oh, yeah.
and, like, there's no bigger threat to society than, like, a pedo. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that, because like that
Yeah.
poor kid. Oh,
Yeah.
you're ruining lives when you're like diddling these minors.
Totally.
It's so
And of
sad to
course, if
me.
you look at his social media posts, they're very pro MAGA, anti-immigrants, because no, they're the ones raping people and whatnot.
But
Ugh.
I do think that
Oh,
like
Richard.
when obviously he's um probably has some like unresolved like inner um identity issues regarding homosexuality, and
Yeah.
so I think that when people don't address these feelings, and then when they grow up in these mega churches and they're told that these feelings are wrong, and they develop this like internalized homophobia, and then it eats away at you. Like and so I think that I can only say from my experience, but there is a weight off your shoulders when you come out of the closet publicly, or when you to your friends and family. There's it's a huge weight because it does kind of eat you up inside, and I think
Totally.
it and to I don't know. I I think that there's some of these monsters maybe wouldn't be monsters if they just dealt with their feelings. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Right. That's very deep. Wow. As deep as he wants to go in your ass.
Yeah. Well, I'm back on the market. You know what I mean? Like it's been a while.
Or should we call him Dick? I don't know. Either way. Just remember, people, the call is coming from inside the house. This pride, just remember, it's not the Drag Queens.
Not the drag
And
queen.
record time. Oh,
It's
yeah.
never the drag queen. It's always like weird,
Some
like
weird Richard guy.
gross. You know what? Like I don't know. I just feel like there's so many toys out there on the market. Like there's all these like pocket pussies and things like that. You know what I mean? Or like pocket buttholes, or like like they have these. I don't almost like almost feels like real flesh. It looks like they have fleshlights. But if you are like horned up and you really want to like knock your socks off, then get a masturbation toy, and you're not hurting anybody. Invest. I feel like
It's fucking legal. Jesus Christ. It's not that
yeah,
difficult. It's
a
like, what?
pocket pussy is a lot less expensive than this guy's like court fees are going to be.
And now his
Get a
life
flashlight.
ruined. Or actually, no, he'll probably get a job in Trump's cabinet next week, because that's just how it be. So maybe he's doing it for career advancement.
You know what? There are a lot of like communities, sub like sex communities in the gay community, and like there is a bar in New York City called the Eagle. Have you heard this before?
No.
So the Eagle, like everything goes down the Eagle. If you like, it's not really my vibe. So maybe I'm a little I'm old fashioned. I'm a lady. So the Eagle, there's a lot of sexy time that goes on there. People sucking off each other and like doing. Everyone's got. I think you have to have your shirt off when you're in there, or you have to like wear leather or like a harness of some sort. A lot of nudity there. It's whatever. But someone like this gross fuck, this pedo, if he really wants to um explore that side but be anonymous, you put on like a weird dog mask. You walk into one of these environments, and there's someone for everyone in a place like the Eagle. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he could watch whatever he wants to. He could participate in whatever he wants to. He can probably get sucked off or do some sucking, whatever. And like it's dim lighting. No one's gonna take a picture. Like who cares? So
Right,
like
right, right.
you don't have to ruin a kid's life. You can just go to the Eagle. I don't know. I get so mad
Go
about this
to
stuff.
the Eagle. That's true. Or go to the strip club. Either way, there's legal and healthier ways to get you some than going after a fucking 14-year-old, 15-year-old boy, you fucking weirdos. Get
Yeah.
your rocks off the normal way.
And also to the parents of this 15-year-old kid,
Yeah, what the fuck? How's
take
there a 15-year-old on Grinder?
I was gonna say, yeah, like monitor your kids' phones. Take them
That
he
is
has to use his own
crazy.
grinder.
You have to at least be 16 or have the age of consent. I don't know what that is.
I don't know, but
That's
I just think,
wild. Yeah, that's crazy. And plus, that's like, ooh, for the people like looking for legal shit, you don't want to know that there's fucking children in this app. That makes it uncomfortable for everyone.
when I was 15, I was arguing with my mom about turning the blood feature on Mortal Kombat because she was like, "This is too intense." You know what I'm talking about? You could turn the
Yep.
blood down.
Yep.
She's like, "This is too." I was like, "Mom, I'm 15. Like, I think I can handle it at this point." So like when I was 15, I wasn't. I mean, we didn't have Grinder back then. We didn't have cell phones back then.
Yeah.
But my concern was like, I hope I can mow enough lawns to raise enough money
Totally.
to buy GoldenEye because I really want to play that. Like.
Totally. And we grew up in the era
Unchanged.
of the sketchy online chat rooms with
Oh
all the
yeah.
perverts. So we also, we could have fallen for very similar type of shit. But I agree. I was 15. I was, playing video games, watching Dragon. Actually, the same exact shit I'm doing.
Uh,
Now I can buy all the games I wish I could have bought back then. I treat myself. Yeah, no, man, what the fuck? But anywho,
Anywho,
it's to show moving because we have a great one for you this week. Because this week, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, the FratChat Podcast is going scary. I should do the scary voice. Scary. Because this week we're diving into the dark side of the fabulous with the top 10 real gay serial killers that'll make you rethink that late night grinder message. Because we got killers from charmers to chilling psychos. We're spilling the tea on true crime stories that prove that even the fiercest queens can have killer secrets. So lock your doors, hide your wives, clutch your pearls, and swipe wisely, and I guess wipe wisely too. It's about to get murderously gay up in here in the FratChat Podcast. You remember front to back, front to back.
front to back, no poo on the sack.
That's right, never back to front.
Or front to back, no poo on the vag.
However, I can't imagine getting poo in my sack after wiping. Like, good lord, what did you eat?
Ugh, gross. I think that there's something like exciting about meeting up with a stranger and having like anonymous sex and going about your day, but there's also something very dangerous about it. And so
Yeah.
I have a friend from a long time ago. I remember she got really upset because I I was concerned about her promiscuity, and I'm not like shaming her for like
Karen, you're
having
such a slut.
like I don't care, but like there was times when she would get so smashed and go home with a stranger, and I'd be like, listen, like do what you want to do, but just communicate with us because we care about you. We don't want to identify your body at the morgue, So
Yeah.
this is like when we started using like pictures on our cell phone. Like send us a picture of this guy's face. Let us know. Like say, hey, listen, I'm going to this residence or I'm in this neighborhood. Like if just in case, just let our friends know where we're going. Or if we're going on a date and we don't know this person, then we should like send each other, okay, this is the picture of the guy I'm meeting up with, and this is his name, and just in case you never hear from me again. I think it's just nice to have like a buddy system. But
Totally.
she's like, keep my love life out of your mouth. And she was so mad. I was like, well, you can be mad about it if you want to, but I'm really just, this comes from a place of good. I just care about you and I don't want you getting hurt. And like, it's scary to go home with strangers. And we're going to talk about
Yeah.
some really scary things in this episode, but like, that's a reality. There are some fucked up people out there.
Yeah, that's crazy. And it's true. You got to watch out, man. It's like, and it's wild because a lot of the serial killer documentaries I've watched and stuff has featured scenes and people where it's like, I warned my mom to lock her door, for example, with Richard Ramirez in California. And my mom said, no, I haven't been not locking my door my entire life. I'm not going to let some psycho put fear in me and start locking my doors now. What are the odds he'll come to me? Well, that night, Richard Ramirez broke into the mom's house and killed both the mom and the dad in an awful manner, and like fucking like raped the mom and shit. Made himself a sandwich and then left. And it's like, dude,
Ugh,
there's so many
horrible.
people that just shit happen, and they get warned. Say, oh, you should be safe. You should be careful. Nah, that'll never happen to me until it happens to you. So I think it was good that you were warning your friend. There's a lot of weirdos out there.
Yeah,
So,
well, I want to start with one weirdo, but this is an honorable mention. So I'm not sure this is considered a serial killer.
well,
But I
he
feel
is on the way. They caught him before, but this person is showing clear signs of someone who's starting that route. A lot of serial killers start with how this person is going. This person just happened to get caught before they could escalate. So this is a great honorable mention. You can reveal why they're an honorable mention, though. They didn't quite make the cut. If you know
yeah,
what I mean.
well, I think he killed a lot of animals, and to me,
Yes,
that's like you're a serial killer in my
that's how it
mind. But
starts. They always start
yeah,
with fucking killing fucking cats or dogs, or they find like a dead animal body and start poking around with it. It's always like weird shit with animals. It's clear psychopath serial killer behavior in the making.
so, listeners, do you remember I think this was on Netflix, but it's a documentary series called Don't Fuck with Cats, Hunting an
Yep.
Internet Killer. And this is about like this investigation and capture of this freakazoid named Luca Magnotta.
Yep.
Do you guys remember that? So,
Well, they
his
can't answer you, Simo, but I'll just go, yes.
yes. So I think his real name
Remember.
was Eric Clinton Kirk Newman, and he was Canadian. And he got international notoriety in 2010 for posting videos of himself torturing and killing kittens online. So these acts of animal cruelty escalated to the murder and dismemberment of June Lin, a Chinese student in 2012. And I think they met on Grindr. So oh, so sad. Like we saw, like we watched documentary. You see this, and it's a cute guy. This cute guy comes into this apartment complex, but we never see him leave. Ooh. So the Netflix documentary series chronicles the efforts of a group of amateur online detectives who tracked this freakazoid and played a role in bringing him to justice. So he was eventually convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison in 2014. So it really is an incredible documentary. I mean, these like
Yes.
investigators were like
Super good.
fantastic. But I just felt so bad for this young, exchange student, this cute kid, and like because homosexuality is so stigmatized, sometimes people feel like they had no other option but to like dip and do behind closed doors, like in private and like on these like apps and whatnot, So even though New York is super progressive, a lot of people that visit New York are from less progressive places.
Totally.
And so the average person, I think, like shopping, on Fifth Avenue may not be from New York. They're probably visiting, And so a lot of these visitors have a lot to say if I'm holding my husband's hand. I mean, he doesn't want to hold my hand anymore, so it's fine. But if we were, then yeah. So if we were, if there was moments that was
Don't
uncomfortable
forget,
or
ex-husband.
yeah, yeah. But like there's been times when dating someone in Chicago, and I gave him a kiss on the cheek on the subway, and then this mom turned to me and screamed and she said, "Can you not do that in front of my children?" She's like, "That's disgusting." And I was like, "Ah." But so it's just ugh, it's horrible. Sometimes I think that if there was less stigma of homosexuality, then maybe this guy June Lin wouldn't have gone to this freakazoid's apartment. Maybe they could just had coffee or go to a bar and maybe make out the back of a bar like heterosexual people do. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true, man. It's crazy. And yeah, that's if
Anyway,
you haven't seen Don't Fuck with Cats. I've tried because I watch a lot of documentaries to fall asleep to, and I thought this was going to be the same for this documentary. I put it on, yeah, I'll probably end up out in a few minutes. Oh no, it was so fucking good that I ended up watching it in one sitting. Like this is like 3 episodes, I think, or 4, and I watched them all in one night. And even Julie, who had been asleep, woke up and got hooked into this, and we finished it at like almost 6 a.m. because we needed to know what the fuck happened.
Yeah.
So if you want to watch a
It's
really well done
intense.
documentary with the thing is, since they're looking to catch this guy, there is like, real life consequence to it, and you're kind of watching it in real time. It's so good. Check out Don't Fuck with Cats. But anyways,
who's
on
first on
to
your list?
the top 10, and we're gonna start with a guy who ended up being dubbed the trash bag killer. Oh yeah, his name is Patrick Kearney, and apparently he was a quiet and small person, and he always looked like the guy who would be able to fix your computer. But surprise, he was also killing young men and dismembering their bodies and dumping their remains along California highways in garbage bags, hence the nickname, if you're not that clever. He's believed, 2 and 2 together.
Yeah.
You're some kind of dumbass. He's believed to have killed at least 21 people and maybe even more. And unlike most serial killers, he didn't need elaborate rituals or costumes. Oh no, he was efficient. He was like the Tesla murderers. He was silent, smooth, and no emissions. Just cold, calculated evil in some really shady trash runs. Ooh,
Horrifying.
very sketchy. Imagine, especially something about ending in a trash bag is like the most terrifying for me. Like, I don't know. It's like something about just being dumped like a piece of shit. It's just like, ugh. And plus, I'm kind of like claustrophobic, so I can't imagine taking your final breaths as you're being put into a goddamn trash bag.
I would hope that they were deceased before you started chopping them up. Can you imagine if your last memory is like a chainsaw?
Yeah.
Horrifying. Ugh.
Yeah.
People are
And
crazy.
it's crazy that at least, I mean, the thing with these serial killers is it always takes forever for them to get caught. But it looks like this guy was actually apprehended due to good police work, which is good. Because there was like a crucial lead to a victim who was last seen with the guy. And then ultimately they got a confession from him. But basically, let's see, a key turning point investigation was the murder of 17-year-old John LeMay in March of 1977. Police learned that LeMay had been seen in the company of Kearney and his partner, David Hill, shortly before his death. And then this led to detectives focusing their investigation on the Redondo Beach residence shared by Kearney and Hill. And then a search of the residence led to the discovery of incriminating evidence, including bloodstains in Kearney's car, a 22 caliber pistol matching the bullet wounds on several victims, a hacksaw used for dismemberment, with blood and tissue matching that of LeMay, trash bags similar to those used to dispose of the victim's remains, and carpet fibers and hairs that match evidence found on LeMay's body. After that, they issued arrest warrants for the guy. And then he eventually turned himself in, all that good stuff, and he confessed. But 21 fucking murders.
Did his partner participate or did he know about it?
Yes, looks like his partner was kind of complicit in the whole thing.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Why can't they just go to like a paint and sip class? Like, you know what I mean? If you're trying to spice up your life, like, do you really have to murder people? Can you just like take a cooking course? I don't know, like bungee jump. People are crazy. Well, for my first one, this guy was dubbed the farmhand butcher. But he wasn't butchering like farm animals, unfortunately. Surprise, surprise. So his name is Juan Corona. So back in the early 1970s, Juan Corona was a Mexican immigrant working in California's agricultural scene and secretly killing it.
No,
Literally,
no.
he, he he murdered at least 25 migrant workers and buried them across orchards like they were creepy seasonal crops. So while it's not like 100% confirmed that Juan was a homo, prosecutors argued he targeted men for more than just convenience. One victim had his pants pulled down, another had his genitals mutilated. Either way, this dude took, working the fields to a terrifyingly literal level. And
Ooh,
it's situations like this that make me so upset more than others because um, the MAGA rights wing, conservatives, they'll take a onesie twosie story about immigrant criminal, and then they'll label all immigrants as criminals.
yeah,
And
thank God this happened in 71. Or else we
yeah,
got to clarify that.
yeah.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, this guy's not around now.
So you'll notice that like most of the people on this list are homegrown like white men that are born in America. So like people that look like me statistically are more inclined to be a sick fuck than people that look like you. But our MAGA like leaders want people to think that people that look like you are a danger to people that look like me, and that's not supported in statistics. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. And no, this guy was Mexican though, so you can't. But yes, 9 out of 10, you'll notice, are not. And he died in jail when he was 85 years old in 2019. And no, this guy was also caught in an interesting way. They found in 1971, in May 19th, a farmer discovered a freshly dug hole in a peach orchard in Yuba City, California. So this farmer contacted the police, who found the body of Kenneth Whitaker, an unhoused man in the hole. Further investigation of the surrounding orchards, including the Sullivan Ranch where Corona housed some workers, revealed more shallow graves. So over the several weeks, 25 other bodies were found in shallow graves, many showing injuries from machete and severe head trauma. Evidence like receipts and bank slips found with the bodies linked Coronas to the victims as well. And a search of Corona's residence uncovered a bloodstained machete, a post hole digger, a gun, and a ledger containing names of victims. Based on this evidence, he was arrested a week after the initial body discovery. So it's crazy how quickly it falls apart with these people. But he had 25 fucking bodies in shallow graves in a ranch, which is wild to me.
And that's just the ones that we know of. There might be more.
Right. Because there's more that probably like crops grew up over and shit.
Yeah.
We have no idea. Start eating fucking dead guy corn. Ugh. Yeah, that's fucking crazy. Fucking crazy. Anyways, this is for Juan Corona. And now moving on to the next one. This one, his name was Colin Ireland, and they called him, I gotta say, literally his nickname was the Gay Slayer.
No.
Yeah. I feel like it's just like the perfect, you walk in and say, "Hello, it's me, the Gay Slayer. Bring the man."
Play. Get it.
Now, apparently, some argue that he wasn't even gay. He was just bored, which is how a lot of gayness starts. Let me just tell you.
Yeah.
Which has to be the worst reason to start serial killer. In 1993, he made a New Year's resolution to become a serial killer. Yes, really. He fucking did that. And within months, he'd murdered 5 gay men he met at a London S&M bar. He specifically chose gay men because the police wouldn't care as much. And sadly, at the time, he wasn't wrong.
Yeah, that's true.
He would tie up his victims, torture them, and clean up afterwards like a homicidal Mr. Clean. And when caught, he literally said, I'd said I'd be a serial killer, and I was. It's like, holy shit, buddy, calm down. This isn't your vision board, you know?
That's
God.
so crazy. You know what my New Year's resolution was this year? Just drink more water. I really
Yeah,
missed the
like what
mark.
the fuck? I said write a joke a day, you know, not fucking some murdering people in S&M clubs. Like, good lord.
So crazy.
You know, he probably
Yeah.
just got pegged wrong or something. He was like, all right, I'm coming after these gays. So, and of course, this guy was caught thanks to CCTV footage because security camera footage showed Ireland with his last victim, Emmanuel Spiteri, not to be confused with his brother, Emmanuel Swallow Terry. Very different, very different. At a subway station shortly before the murder. And Ireland meticulously cleaned up the crime scenes, but left fingerprints in a windowsill at the home of another victim, Andrew Collier, which were later linked to him. Apparently, though, he would also anonymously call police stations after each of the killings, claiming responsibility and providing details, perhaps to emphasize his desire for notoriety. And after police released the CCTV footage showing him with Spiteri, he turned himself in willingly. Initially, he admitted being the man in the video, but then he claimed he was innocent. Eventually, he confessed to all 5 killings on August of 1993.
Well, I would argue that maybe he wasn't openly gay, but there's a little bit of like curiosity because if you, of all places, are focusing on S&M bars, gay S&M bars, then like,
Totally.
you know,
And to go undercover in those bars, you got to do some pretty gay shit. Yeah, 1,000% was.
yeah.
I feel like, and this is also the time that this man was caught and being in Ireland and shit. But it was 1993. Gay rights have come a long way, and people's openness to it. And I can see someone being happier to admit that they're a serial killer than they're gay back then,
Yeah.
which is crazy. It's fucking
Like
crazy.
that guy that fucked the corpse on the subway. Remember
That's
him? I
right.
think his name was
Yeah,
Carlos
right.
Garcia.
That's right. No relation. His brother's like, come on, buddy. He's not gay. He
Like,
just
yeah,
likes to bang corpses, and this one just happened to be a guy.
yeah, that's
Okay?
like boggles my mind.
But he's not gay. Okay? It's not gay if his body's dead. You know, can't even use the penis. Can't even get hard. It's a blow for it.
You know, I had a couple people talk to me this week about our episode from last week because they were like, I never noticed that, but that's true. When I go to get tested at like the clinic or whatever, the questionnaire will say, are you gay? Are you straight? Are you trans? Are you a man that has sex with men? It's like, that's gay, but some people just can't say it. It
Yeah.
took my husband a while to say it because you know he
It's because he couldn't
was
speak English, you know, to be fair. So
well, yeah,
do
that's
lingo
fair.
classes.
But he had a different life back in his home country, you know, and it wasn't very well accepted. It was scarier there. You know, there's a lot of hate crimes in Brazil regarding.
Yeah.
There might be the most in Brazil than more in Brazil than they are in America regarding, you know, hate crimes towards queer people. Anyway, so
Wow.
my next one. So yours was in Ireland, right? Or in London?
Ireland.
This one's also in the UK. I think this one's in let's see. I think it's in Great Britain. I don't know. I don't know. Is Great Britain, does that include Scotland and like
Yeah.
Ireland? But the UK doesn't include Scotland and Ireland. So
Well, no, the
Wales.
UK.
Is
Well, I guess
UK
they
and
used
Great
to.
Britain, are they synonymous?
They used to be. The United Kingdom was all of them. But Great Britain is Britain.
So
Pretty
Britain is
sure.
like England and Britain are the same thing?
Exactly. And then
Man.
the UK was like Scotland and Ireland, you know, England.
I can't tell the difference between Scottish and Irish. I can't tell the difference between those two.
Well, you just did it.
accents.
Scottish is more down here. And Irish is a little up here. Irish, you kind of sound like a little fairy. Ha ha ha.
Okay, so Shrek was Scottish.
That's right.
and the Lucky Charms guy is Irish.
Is Irish. Exactly. That's the great way.
I got it.
Great stereotypes.
Mom, I'm smart. Mom, I'm ready to try my SATs again. I got this. These
donkey.
donkey. Okay, so this guy was known as the grinder killer, and I'm not talking about like a weed grinder. I'm talking about the sexy like hookup app. So this guy's name is Stephen Port, not Stefan. It's Stephen.
It's true. We talked about this last week.
It's spelled with a PH, but it's pronounced Stephen. So
It should be
Stephen
Stefan.
Port is it
Right.
should be, but you know the English language is stupid. So Stephen Port is what happens when catfishing meets criminal mastermind, minus the mastermind part, I guess. So this bleach blonde chef used Grinder to meet men. He drugged them with GHB, then
Wow.
raped and murdered at least 4 of them. We know of 4, but maybe more. He would then stage the bodies to look like overdoses and even made fake suicide notes. So for a while, the cops just shrugged it. Just like the previous case you talked about, they didn't care. People didn't care about gay people. So it wasn't until people on Facebook started asking more questions than Scotland Yard that the truth came out. A true British scandal. Tea was spilled, and so were bodies. So he got caught, and the rest is history.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy because despite like apparently when his first few victims all looked very much the same. He had very similar MOs. They were young gay men found in the same area after being drugged with GHB. However, of course, like I said, a lot of these serial killers are able to stay on the road because police tends to be a little bit of a donut, as they say over there in the UK. And they fucked up. The police literally totally failed to connect the cases and dismissed them as non-suspicious overdoses. So this totally failed to get the investigation going in the right direction at all. And they said that there's nothing to be looked at there. They also failed to examine crucial evidence like the killer's laptop and a fake suicide note he planted on one of the victims as well. But it was the families of Port's victims and people on Facebook, as you said, particularly this guy, Jack Taylor, who had his sisters. They refused to accept the initial police conclusions and conducted their own investigations, identifying the similarities between the deaths and even identifying Port's address. And this is later on, police constable John Taylor discovered CCTV footage at Barking train station showing Jack Taylor with an unidentified man, and this man turned out to be Stephen Port. And eventually, this discovery combined with the ongoing pressure from the families led to the reinvestigation of Stephen or Stephen, and they finally recognized the links between the 4 deaths. But it took the fucking family to literally do all the goddamn police work for them. So eventually, police investigated the cases properly and, made an arrest. And as of 2023, he was still in jail.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's still alive.
He's still alive. He's still in jail. He's like 50. So this is like fairly recent, and so I'm on Wikipedia right now, and there's this guy named Rafael who's Brazilian, and when he was like a teenager, he moved to London, and he was dating this guy Stephen Port, and so they dated for a little while. They broke up. He ended up moving back to Brazil, and he one day just happened to Google Stephen Port and saw like all these headlines about him being a serial killer. And so then he was like, now that I think of it, like there was a lot of like strange behavior. And then like another former partner of Stephen also claimed to have broken up with Stephen due to his unusual behavior. So like there could have been more, but this guy, the Brazilian guy, even lived with him.
Ooh.
So
wow. And then he was
know someone.
Yeah, and then November 2016, he was convicted for the murders and assault by penetration and rapes of Anthony Walgate, 23, Gabriel Cavari, 22, Daniel Whitworth, 21, and Jack Taylor, 25, as well as rapes of 3 other men he drugged, and 10 counts of administering a substance with intent and 4 sexual assaults. He was found guilty in all counts in total, and in total, 11 men were known victims of Port's crimes. Crazy.
You know what? I think there's a lot to unpack there because I guess he was a lot older than his victims, so he kept them kind of young.
Yeah.
And I do think that like we have to protect our young queers because like, I talked about this before, but you know, if you think about it, young gay people, whether they're sure they're gay or not, like they don't necessarily. I mean, there's exceptions, but they don't necessarily date in high school. It's uncomfortable for them, so they like stick to like their
Totally.
studies, and they do theater. But so when Joe Schmo and Susie Q were dating at the age of 16 and experimenting and like dipping and doing,
Right.
great for them. And then in college, they continued, and then they who knows, maybe they marry their high school sweetheart, they make a family, whatever. Gay people are a little bit late to the game. So like it's not until normally they're like of age to drink legally that they go to like their first, gay establishment and then
Right.
they start experimenting, but like a little bit later in life. And so when I was 22, 23, going to a gay bar, if someone a little bit older like gave me some attention, I was like, oh, this is nice. I've never had this before. Is a nice established person who's interested in me. Yeah, this is nice. So I think that a lot of like maybe older guys might prey on like the young and impressionable like gay guys because these gay guys embarking on like a romantic journey for the first time might have a mindset similar to Joe Schmo and Susie Q when they were 16. You know what I mean? But it's just
Right.
it's just it's just sad to me.
Right. Now, I don't want to. This is totally unrelated, but I don't want to drop a conspiracy theory. But you see this man, and his name is Stefan or Steven. And do you notice? I don't know if you clicked on his picture. He looks a lot like a British version of Stephen Miller, the guy who works with Trump.
Let me see. Stephen Port. Let me see his. He does.
he, he looks like he's going to come in like, President Trump demands total allegiance by you getting naked.
But you know what? This is gonna sound mean, but he does look British. You ever see someone you're
Very
like,
British.
he looks like he'd be part of the British family, and that's not a compliment.
Yep.
I mean, the royal family.
Yeah, I know what you meant. The British family. Oh, you got crumpets and tea? Anyways, you did Steven or Matt? Yeah, I'm next, right? Yes.
You're next.
So this next one, we're going with William Bonin. Perfect for a gay killer. Should be William Boner Hill. Oh, yes, Simo. And I gotta say, this was the kind of guy your mom warned you about, and for once, she was right. Because operating in Southern California in the late 70s and early 80s, he would pick up teen boys and young men hitchhiking, would rape them and torture them in his van, and then he would dump the bodies off in major highways. He was known to have multiple accomplices as well, which somehow makes it worse. It's like a serial killer buddy comedy gone horribly wrong. Right? I don't like it. Bonin said he liked killing because it was fun. That's the only reason. So is laser tag, buddy.
Yeah, exactly.
Felony. Like, what the fuck? Really? Yeah, that's fun. Police ended up catching him under surveillance after patterns in his killings emerged. And one day they literally watched him pick up a teen, take him into his van, and assault him. And then when cops burst in, it was like a live fucking horror show. There was duct tape, knives, and ropes. And his van was basically a crime scene on wheel. He confessed. He ended up confessing almost immediately. Yeah, because the jig was fucking up, idiot. Yeah.
Yikes.
Ugh. He ended up being executed in February 23rd, 1996 in St. Quentin's jail, which is pretty crazy.
I think all serial killers should be executed, and I understand that like maybe some forensic people or not forensic, I'm sorry, psychology people might want to study them, I guess. I don't know, but I really feel like what a waste of like taxpayer money. Like get in the fucking chair. Hang 'em.
Totally. And no, and then for example, this guy was convicted of 14 murders, but he confessed to 21 and is suspected of even more. So I understand the let's get it the fuck let's get him out of here before he can do any more. But they have studied serial killers' brains, and they do show that there's differences in the way that they're developed. Sometimes, like head trauma, can contribute to a lot of the making of a serial killer, because apparently head trauma can sometimes make the part of your brain that focuses on empathy and stuff not work as well. So it is very interesting to study these people in the term, to hopefully be able to study people in the future and make sure that you can do something about it. But the crazy thing about it is that right now, the only way you can study someone's brain is, they're dead, you take it out and then you fucking look at it. And I mean, sure, you can do things to track sensors in real time, but like you can't follow a serial killer around all day like that. So I feel like there just needs to be better ways to study people's brains so you can actually do something about it. But I don't know. It's crazy. It's crazy to see these people because their brains are totally different than ours.
Yeah.
Like they don't feel empathy in any way. I mean, to kill fucking over 21 people, mostly kids and shit, is crazy.
I always think to myself, we've talked about it before, but like when I went to school, it was mandatory to get certain like shots, you know what I mean? Like certain vaccines. You had like as a kid, you had to get like tetanus every so often. You have to get like your hepatitis shots and space them out appropriately. You have to get measles and smallpox and all that. You're right. So I feel like from a physical standpoint, they do a pretty decent job. I mean, now that RFK Jr. is around, like I mean, there's measles in Texas right now, so who knows? But when I was younger,
and
we
in
didn't
New
have this.
York too. I don't even know. They're spreading. They reported a case after after the Beyonce concert.
Oh, really? Of measles?
Fucking measles here because people come just like COVID. People come from their little states. They're infected all the
Yeah.
way over here, and then the fucking outbreak begins. At least here, people are vaccinated for the most part.
Well, I feel like we have a big miss because we don't focus on like mental health. We just focus on the physical health, but we don't focus on like people's like mental and emotional health. So I feel like if we were able to make it mandatory for like adolescent children to go through a psychiatric evaluation, it would curb a lot of these like future criminals. So
Right.
I think that if we ask the right questions and do enough appropriate testing when people are young, then we can maybe get them the help that they need before they end up being a serial killer. I don't know. Maybe, maybe
Yeah,
not.
but I mean, the question there also becomes like, fuck, what is that movie with Tom Cruise? I think it's called Minority Report, maybe. Where
Oh, that's a great movie.
remember they're in the future and they can like predict the future and read people's minds in some way, and they're able to, like, for example, if you're going to kill someone later today, since they can predict the future, they have like that on like a future cam, and then they show you essentially committing this crime before it even happens, so they can arrest you before the crime even takes place. You know what I mean? Which
Yeah.
is fucking wild. So it kind of becomes that type of question, like, okay, this person technically hasn't done something. Do you find that they have the brain of a serial killer and you keep them away from society until you can, you know, make them normal again, quote unquote, even though they haven't done anything? Like,
Well,
how, it's like crazy. It's crazy how
I feel like a
someone has to make that decision.
I feel like a lot of people have said that, if you're a child and you're killing animals, then that's making them a serial killer. So, like, if you have a child that's killing animals and they're in therapy, then
That
maybe we
fucking
can
should go
squash
away.
it early on, you
Yeah.
know?
But if I have a kid who's fucking killing animals, that kid needs to go to a fucking mental hospital. Because, yeah, that shit. Ugh. I mean, you have to have, especially because I'm not going to lie, like, I couldn't imagine like murdering someone, but people are assholes, you know? Like, there's some people who you look at, it's like, oh, like you look at some of these criminals, it's like, you know what, that motherfucker better off dead. You can say it. Awful people. But how do you pick up a puppy or a cat, a kitty or something like how the fuck do you pick up an animal that hasn't done anything to you? A dog. Dogs are literally bred generationally to love you. Fuck do you kill that? Like, what the fuck? Like, that to me, that's even worse in some ways
Yeah.
because the dog trusts you. It's like killing a child, So I don't know. If you're fucking out there killing animals, take them away. Now, if you're not doing anything, it's like, then, it's different. But the minute you kill an animal, I'm like, I don't want this kid anywhere near me. Fuck that. I don't trust him.
Yeah.
Sociopath. But anywho.
Agreed. Well, I got another sociopath. I don't know the difference between a sociopath and a psychopath. They both suck, right?
That's right.
Okay.
But sociopath is more like they don't really know how to deal with people so much. You know what I mean? Like, you can be technically a decent person and be a sociopath. You just don't really take cues that well. You're not you're kind of dry in comparison to other people. You just don't know how to deal with them. But like a psychopath is more like craziness. Like, you experience psychosis and shit, and you go into you go into an extreme. That's my summary.
Okay. Sounds good. So next up, I got a psychopath. Maybe he's a sociopath too, but definitely a psychopath. And Randy Kratt was known as the scorecard killer.
Ooh.
So Randy Kratt was the ultimate type A serial killer. So he was tidy, methodical, and super scary. So between 1972 and 1983, he is believed to have killed between 16 and 67 young men. Like, how do you have that huge span?
Yeah,
But
that's
I guess
good. Come on, police. You can't fucking make that that range a little smaller with some
yeah.
investigating? 16 and 67? Like, what the fuck?
It's like me. I mean, this is a very different situation, but it's almost like me saying, in my 20s, I probably had sex with I don't know, anywhere between like 400 girls. You know what I mean?
Or
It's
just
like,
imagine like you're like 25 and say, I'm gonna bring you a blind date, and his range of age, he's somewhere between 18 and 68.
yeah.
It's like, wait, what? What the fuck? No. Can you
Well,
cut some of that out?
Botox is real. Okay, most of these victims were in Southern California. There's been a lot of like scary things in Southern California. Okay, so Randy Kraft targeted hitchhikers, Marines, and
Wow.
college students. So he would drug them, he would torture them, often with extreme sexual violence, and then kill them by strangulation or asphyxiation.
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 Asphyxiation. Try that again.
Af- as-
Asphyxiation.
Asphyxiation.
There you go.
Asphyxiation.
He did it,
Thanks,
ladies and
man.
gentlemen.
Mom! I sounded it out. All right, so some victims were mutilated after they died post-mortem. He recorded his crimes in like a cryptic scorecard list found in his home full of nicknames and coded references. So imagine getting murdered by someone who logged it like a CrossFit workout, And so
6 stabs.
it's crazy, but that's why they so The police don't really know how many he killed because they're unable to crack the code and he's not talking.
Mm.
So like, I mean, it's so crazy. So how did he get caught? Well, I'll tell you. So in 1983, police pulled over Randy Kraft for swerving on the freeway. They found a dead Marine in the passenger seat. His pants were down and there was a beer between his legs. And Randy Kraft pretending nothing was wrong. So a search of his home. He's like,
He
what?
was like that when I picked him up.
Yeah. So a search of his home revealed drugs, trophies, and this infamous scorecard. When your crimes look like a spreadsheet, it's hard to deny them in court.
Yeah. Oh, I had nothing to do with it. I just, had the dead body and a detailed scorecard of how I killed it. And look, I gave myself 3,000 points for jacking him off first. Totally
Ugh.
innocent. Totally innocent. Open and shut, innocent case, Johnson. Free that man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. And it's wild because, hitchhiking. This is the people say, like, well, back in my day, you could, kids could be out in the street until the sun would go down. There was no problem. No, motherfucker. Back in your days is when these fucking hitchhikers, serial killers started popping in and making it too scary for fucking kids to go play outside, motherfuckers. Like, notice all these
Yeah.
time frames are like 70s to 80s, and these people preying on kids who are just trying to actually like be outside and do shit. You wonder why the fuck my fucking family told me to stay in and play my goddamn video game? Because it's fucking dangerous outside, motherfuckers. Like, what? So it just goes to show, like, this is the time people trust it, and it's scary shit, man.
Can you imagine being the defense attorney assigned to this case and being like, really? Like,
Yeah,
give me
right? Like,
some-
fuck,
give me
man. Like, I
something
needed to
can
win one. My wife's going to leave me if I don't win the next case. She just told me, you're going to drop me with this asshole? Like, what do you want from me? And that's crazy because, this is why, in some ways, I give defense attorneys some credit, because a lot of them operate under the assumption, which is the right way to operate, because it's that everybody deserves their due process, doesn't matter who it is. So they will work just as hard for someone who they know killed someone, because that is the right thing to do for the legal system. So it makes the conviction actually mean something. But it's like, like, let's say you're defending Ted Bundy,
Yeah.
who did awful fucking things. And he was also kind of a smug prick who thought he should be able to defend himself and all this stuff. It's like, how do you look at that person and say, I'm going to work hard to get you out of here? So I'd be like, I don't know if I could. So credit to defense attorneys, because they have it more in them to do something that needs to be done, because someone has to defend these people than I would. I'm not good enough to do that. I'd be like, oh, fuck this guy. He's guilty, Your Honor.
So, question for you. Luigi Mangione, do you think if he was not caught that there would be more victims? Do you think that he was just getting started? I think so. I think if you get away with something, you're like, oh, how can I up the ante? You know what I mean? Like, what can I do next?
Depends. I feel like it depends on. I didn't read his whole manifesto. No, I do think that he wasn't just against this one company. He was against CEOs and for all these types of companies in general. So I could see him going after a different CEO after this one. But I don't know. It doesn't seem like his manifesto was just to pop the one and be done with it. But that's just me. So yeah,
Crazy.
I don't know. It is crazy. It is crazy. But the crazy thing is that he accomplished something, because briefly that company told their operators to stop being such douchebags with denying claims, because the CEOs were worried for their lives. So in some way he got them to do their job.
Yeah.
It's wild. It's wild. It's wild. I don't support murder. It's just say. I feel like you got to clarify these things. Anywho, that was Robert Kraft. No
Randy Kraft.
Randy Kraft, sorry. No relation to Robert Kraft. That's his name, right? Yeah, the New England Patriots guy
Oh, yeah.
who likes happy endings and massages.
Hmm.
Different craft. This guy liked to give happy endings in his car before drugging you. This other guy likes to pay for the happy endings.
Hmm. And also no connection to Kraft mac and cheese.
That's right,
Kraft.
which is delicious. But these people like to make their own cheese instead. So no relation.
Yucky.
If you know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
Simo. Anywho, we're down to the final four. And this next one is a man that they call Dennis Nilsen, Nilsen. So not Nielsen, Nilsen.
Nilsen.
And they called him the kindly killer. And he was basically like Britain's answer to Jeffrey Dahmer. You know what I mean? Like the British had the Beatles, so the US was like, well, we'll do the monkeys. You know, it's just basically that, but in opposites, you know. He was polite, he was soft-spoken, and absolutely fucking nightmarish. Between 1978 and 1983, he murdered at least 15 young men. 15, 1-5. Many of them homeless or down on their luck drifters. You see, drifting again. He'd invite them back to his North London flat for food or drinks and then proceed to strangle them. But it didn't stop there. He would then keep the bodies for days, sometimes weeks, and he would fucking bathe them and like pose them and even talking to them like they were like his roommates. He then would store the remains. Yeah, right. Like it's so creepy, like Norman Bates and Psycho almost, but with more roommates. He then stored the remains in wardrobes and under the floorboards. And when the space ran out, he literally tried to flush body parts down the fucking toilet.
Ooh.
Crazy. How he got caught, his downfall came thanks to plumbing, essentially, because he fucking clogged drains full of human flesh. So then obviously that's not going to work, buddy. You can't fucking flush a hand down the toilet. Believe me, I tried. A repairman investigated the clogged plumbing and immediately called the police. And then when police confronted Nilsen, he immediately said, "It's a long story. I'll tell you everything."
No, you got to do it again, but with the British accent.
Oh,
Hello.
yeah. It's a long story. I'll tell you everything, old chap. And he did, complete with literal sketches of where the bodies were stored. And no, these were like hand-drawn sketches, not like
a treasure
hey,
map.
buddy!
X marks the spot, but it's not going to be like your kind of treasure. It's like my kind of treasure. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You know, like, ooh, yikes.
Yes. So, it turns out politeness does not cancel being out a full-blown necrophile, you fucking weirdo. Like now you get caught and now you're helpful to the cops. Oh, yes, old chaps. I don't want you to get your knees dirty there. I'll tell you where the bodies are. Right here. Right here is where I ripped off his penis and made him eat it. Whoa.
Yikes.
And then I stuck his bones in his fatty. Come on, old chap. Let's get some tea and crumpets, shall we?
Oof.
Oh, God. Yeah, they called him the kindly killer because he was so nice, which is so ironic. Like, oh, yeah, he's so friendly and cool. Yeah, sure, he killed 15 people, but once you get past that, he's a very nice guy. You know, just don't turn your back on him or go to his house or breathe around him. That will trigger some stuff. But other than that, super cool guy. Really good at Smash Brothers, too, on N64. He's so good. He's so good at it. You got to try to play him. But again, don't let him get that wire around your neck. Woo. But again, other than that, peach of a man.
Ugh. Yuck. Well, the next one is interesting because I'm friends with a sister of a victim. So I have a friend in Chicago.
Wow.
Who she's a radio personality, and I've been on her show before to promote some of my work in Chicago, and I didn't know until a documentary came out, and I was like, "What is she doing there?" And so her name is Patty Vasquez, and her brother was a victim to John Wayne Gacy, known as the Killer Clown.
Wow.
So, and it's so sad, and like, she's such a wonderful person, and she does a lot of like philanthropy. I think she ran for office at one point, and she was to save the world. And I think that I think one of her kids, I think maybe is like nonverbal autistic, so she does a lot of like outreach for autism. She's a great person, and it's so sad that like her life started off with such tragedy, you know.
Right.
So John Wayne Gacy proved that clowns are not to be trusted, especially when they're hiding 33 murders behind a painted smile. So
Mhm.
from 1972 to 1978, John Wayne Gacy lured young men and teenage boys to his suburban Chicago home under the guise of job offers and
Mhm.
parties. Once inside, he overpowered them, often with a magic trick involving handcuffs.
Yeah.
From what followed
Well,
was
basically, he would like tell them, "Hey, he would put handcuffs on himself and then show them how to take them off, quote unquote." And it's like, "You want me to show you how to do it?" "Oh yeah, that's cool, man. Show me." And then he put the handcuffs on them, and now they're handcuffed. So the kid. He would convince them to put it willingly on them, so he could show them how to take it off, and that was his trick. And then he would fucking like hit him in the back of the head or
yeah.
fucking drug him or all kinds of shit.
So after that, exactly, he would rape them, torture them, and murder them. And many victims were buried in the crawl space beneath his house, and then others in like nearby rivers. And what's
And it's
super
crazy
creepy,
too, because while he was doing this, a lot of the times he would also pick up hitchhikers and shit. But he had a real company that he would hire young boys in the neighborhood. So he was known as like a nice man. Note that he would do these children's party. He was like on the Democratic committee and even hosted Ronald Reagan's wife one time. Like he was like known as the all around good guy in the neighborhood. So these boys sometimes would go to him for thinking they're going to get a job, and they would just disappear. And then he would give the police like these alibis and shit, that they would be like, "Oh yeah, he went off and decided he's going to run away," and the cops would not even think twice about it and shit. It was wild how he was able to get away with it for so long. But also, he had a wife during this
yeah.
that, of course, because they always have a beard. Uh, and the wife would be home during this, but he also had like a garage in his home, which is what he can basically constructed into like his sex dungeon where these people would like go through awful things. But his wife knew that I was there, but she was told you can never go there. You can never see what the fuck it is. You never, if you peek at it, like it's I'll leave you type thing. And she never did. Had she literally just fucking been like, "Oh, what the fuck is in here?" She could have ended this mess way earlier.
You know, there's a bar called I'm not sure if it's still there or not, but when I was there in Chicago, it was called L&L Tavern, and this is a bar on like so listeners, it's on Belmont and like I think Clark Street potentially. But this bar was like a hangout spot for John Wayne Gacy, and some of the old bartenders there remember him. They're like, "Yeah, we served him, and he was pleasant and he was nice." And we never in a million years would have thought that he, was such a creepo or what. But what I think is the most like terrifying part of all of this is that while he was like, burying people under his house and like, murdering people left and right, a lot of people, he was still simultaneously performing at children's parties as
Yeah.
Pogo the Clown.
And
Cute.
here's the thing too, that you talk about how he was known as being nice. When he was being tailed by police at this point because they suspected that he was a fucking killer, they just didn't have enough proof to it. He sometimes knew that he was being tailed, and he would literally buy the cops lunch and shit. It's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I think it's bullshit. You guys are following, but you're just doing your job. Come in, eat with me." And then he got more and more erratic as it would go, and then he got picked up like giving someone weed when he knew he was going down. He was drunk driving, all this shit, and then he ended up going down. But I don't want to spoil how he got caught. Hit it, Mr. Mo.
All right. So, when 15-year-old, oh, like a baby, when 15-year-old Robert, is it pronounced Peist?
Yeah.
Peist?
So.
I don't
Pieced.
know. When young Robbie vanished after meeting Gacy about a job, suspicion quickly mounted. So a search warrant revealed Gacy's creepy collection of like ID cards and clothing from all these missing boys. And they were all typically like young men. So some were minors, some were not, but like they were all like just young men, and a lot of them were young gay men too.
Mm-hmm.
The smell of death under the house sealed the deal. So there was an incredible stench from coming from the crawl space. So it was like almost immediate when the cops
The cop
went
went
to his
to his
house.
house and asked him again. This is where he being nice. It was too much. The cop went to and asked him to use his bathroom. And oh yeah, go ahead. And in the bathroom, the cop turned on, that has the little fan and shit. But the fan literally was just wafting air from the crawl space. So literally, if it doesn't
Ugh.
even let him use the bathroom, maybe they don't uncover the full reekiness of the smell, and he might have been able to get away with it. But he would have parties. And like you said, like he would be Pogo the Clown. He would have these parties at his house where people would be in his house partying and drinking and having a good old time. And they'd be like, hey, John, notice it smells kind of funky in here. Yeah, something, I got a dead cat or something down there. We got to take care of it. It's an old spot, whatever. But people would often ask him about this shit, which is wild. So yeah, imagine the smell of like almost like 30 bodies. Like I had a fucking little mouse that died in my apartment under the fridge, and after 2 days I was able to figure out what it was because it smelled so goddamn bad, and I could track where it was just by following the trail, and I moved the fridge and there it was. But that smelled awful, and it was a teeny tiny little mouse. Imagine
Ugh.
he had 33 fucking murders, over 29 in his fucking crawl space. Like, holy shit, dude. That smell must have been insane.
Yeah, so when he got caught, he basically confessed and he described his crawl space like it was a storage unit. He said, "Oh yeah, 29 are down there. The other four were dumped elsewhere." Imagine the property disclosure on that
Oh,
house,
yeah,
you know?
they just tore that
So
shit down. They never sold, like, literally that house. They just completely demolished it, and people cheered as they did it. And they're like, fuck that. I don't want anything to have that house.
You
Ugh.
know, I think in his because I think we probably watched the same like documentary on him, and he didn't he have like a lot of artwork throughout his house of clowns? I'm
Yes, he
like
loved
that's
clowns.
so creepy, so
Yeah.
creepy.
I would
And so
never hang
like,
out with someone who has that many clowns.
oh,
Fuck no.
can I tell you? So I dated this guy in Chicago who might might be a very nice person. He just got engaged or married or whatever, so like I'm happy for him. But let's just call him George. Okay, so I went on a date with George. And back in the day, there were like before it was Britney and Christina Aguilera, like they're like media frenzy. There's like some feud. They weren't really feuding, but they wanted you to believe they were. There were two other girls named Debbie Gibson and Tiffany, and so they were really big in like the 80s.
Wow.
This guy was so obsessed with Debbie Gibson, and so we met up. We go to dinner, and he says to me, everyone thinks that she has an eating disorder, but it's just Lyme's disease. I said, who? He said, Debbie Gibson. I said, huh, okay. So we weren't talking about her. He's like, oh, we weren't? Oh, sorry. I was like, huh, that's interesting. And then his like phone goes off and he's like, oh my God, she retweeted something that I tweeted. Oh my God, oh my God. And he's like calling people like, can you believe this? This just happened. And I'm like, this is interesting. And then I looked at his phone and every time it went off, there was a picture of him and Debbie Gibson at like some like event where she was just like posing with fans. I
Right.
was like, okay, he's a big fan of an 80s pop star. Okay, great. So another time, I was waiting for him, and like we were gonna go near his apartment, and so I'm like, hey, I'm outside. Like, you coming down? He's like, I just need a few more minutes. You want to come up? So I go up to his apartment, and there was like pictures. It was almost like a shrine. His apartment was like a shrine. Pictures and posters of her everywhere, like all these framed pictures. There was like remember Teen Beat magazine, like all these like tear
Yeah.
sheets from magazines, like plastered everywhere, and I I was so uncomfortable, and I was like, okay, this isn't gonna work. And then actually, what sealed the deal was so he got really burnt. Oh, he was also like really obsessed with Disney World. And I think that there's like a special place um uh for people who are like adults and like severely obsessed with Disney World. You
I
know,
know.
so
It's kind of a lot.
like what? So he got really sunburned, and then he comes over to my apartment, and we're making out my bed, but he was like uh, he was peeling so bad, and then when he left, I literally had to vacuum my bedspread because there was like dry
Ew.
like so I was like, you know what? This is a gross image that I can't get out of my head. And the more I think about it, the whole like Debbie Gibson obsession was like a little creepy. And then
Yeah.
she came to Pride Fest, and I think I saw him getting escorted away from like it's like, oh no. She's probably like, there he is. So, like, I feel like if I walked in someone's house and they had all these posters of clowns, I'd be like, I don't know about this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Fuck that. I'm out.
Yikes.
Anyways, we are
Anyway,
down to the
last
final
two.
two.
Final countdown.
Now this one we're gonna take you back up to north of the pond to Canada, eh?
Oh,
They're not as always so polite. And this is the Toronto planter, as he was known. His name is Bruce MacArthur. And if you looked at this man, you'd think he was like a retired Santa who got into gardening, except his plans, quote unquote, were actual body parts. Because between 2010 and 2017, Bruce MacArthur murdered at least 8 men, mostly from Toronto's LGBTQ plus community, and often as well using racial minorities or immigrants or otherwise marginalized victims, which helped him avoid suspicion for years. His MO was he would strangle his victims during consensual encounters and then dismember their bodies, hiding the remains in planters at homes where he worked as a landscaper.
ugh.
So if Dahmer ran a horror kitchen, this guy ran a literal fucking death garden.
So he would plant body parts in other people's
In other people's houses,
yards.
like they're planters. So if like imagine you hired someone as a gardener and he came in and fucking put like a foot in your petunias. And then he go to the next house and put like a human head in that person's. And then you're disposing of the evidence and spraying it all around. And it's in other people's homes. So hopefully they'll never get caught. But
And then they're like, they probably call him and say, "Hey, I just had some concerns. Like, I just took a whiff of my rose garden, and it smells like decaying flesh. Can you explain
here's
that?"
the thing. You go, oh, I just mulched it. You
Yeah,
know, like it's gonna smell like shit for a few weeks. Don't worry, it'll go away, and eventually the smell would go away. But he got caught after a lengthy investigation into multiple disappearances in Toronto's gay village, and police finally narrowed it. In January 2018, they found a man tied to a bed in MacArthur's apartment, alive but clearly next in line.
ugh,
The search then that followed uncovered photos of victims, trophies, and the remains of 8 men buried in large flower pots. It's the first time landscaping made headlines for all the wrong reasons, especially in Canada. This is fucking
yeah. And
crazy.
listeners, when we mention trophies, like they're not getting like best in class, like like purple ribbons for no, like when serial killers they collect objects from their victims. So like these trophies might be like someone's like it could be their jewelry, it could be a retainer, it could be like
An
another
organ.
ID or whatever. Like that's considered a trophy.
Yeah.
Crazy. Ooh.
Terrifying, dude. Terrifying. And imagine being that guy, because obviously the victims, the ones that died, they're gone. But imagine being the one that got away and just being like saved in the nick of time. Holy shit, you gotta have a guardian angel watching your back
Yeah.
to be that lucky.
Whew, man. Well, here's the last one. This should be no surprise to anyone if you watched the Netflix document or the Netflix
Show
re-dramatization.
or yeah,
Yeah,
there's some documentaries on this man. He is quite evil.
and I feel like if I was young and someone offered me a free drink, I would take it. Absolutely. Even without seeing it being poured, I would be like, yeah, I'm not gonna turn down a free drink. And so, like, I feel like
Totally.
any person, not necessarily gay people, it could be any person could fall victim to Jeffrey Dahmer, also known as
Totally.
the Milwaukee Cannibal.
Totally.
So Jeffrey Dahmer is like the Beyonce of gay serial killers, not because he slays, but because you never forget his name. And
Mm,
something happened, I think, after the show on Netflix. He almost became like a fashion icon with his glasses. So like
yeah.
people came in around um Halloween at my job. They're like, "Do you have like glasses similar to like Jeffrey Dahmer? Because I'm gonna go for him at Halloween." And I'm like, "Why? Like dress up like anyone
Yeah.
else, really? You want to dress up
Yeah.
like that guy?" And then even after Halloween, people were still like, "Oh, I'm kind of going for like a Jeffrey Dahmer kind of what? Like
Yeah.
he
Well,
should
I
be
guess
remembered as a
on
murderer and not a
Halloween,
fashion icon."
yeah, at least on Halloween, I get it because you want to be like a scary monster. But after Halloween, wanting to dress like Jeffrey Dahmer, it's like, what? Are you kidding me? It's like
Yeah.
you dress like a sweaty old white 70s guy. Like that he did not like what the fuck? He dressed like Michael Cera and Superbad with
Mhm.
glasses. That's literally his look. Like that is not the fashion icon, just like you said, you think it is. Like, what the fuck, dude?
So crazy. So, let's see. Between 1978 and 1991, Jeffrey Dahmer murdered 17 young men and boys, most of them gay men of color. He lured victims with promises of cash, alcohol, or modeling gigs. Once inside his Milwaukee apartment, he would drug them, strangle them, and then things took a nosedive into horror movie territory. So he photographed the bodies, kept skulls as trophies,
Ugh.
dissolved flesh in acid, and even cooked and ate body parts. The man basically ran a haunted house with a kitchen staff of one.
Yeah. And here's one that able to stay in business again because of terrible police investigating. He moved in to a apartment and at the time a black building in a black area where cops were sometimes even too scared to go to, which made it perfect for him. And I mean, like he was another one where like he was keeping, human heads. He was sticking them in like acid tubs and shit, like body parts, and completely getting all the skin to melt away and shit. So like his fucking apartment and the whole hallway and shit smelled awful. And the neighbors would often complain about it. There was a neighbor that called the police on him after a kid ran away, uh, drugged and naked from his apartment building, and the cops literally didn't do anything. They returned the kid back and left him on his way.
Yep.
Like that's how bad it was. And literally no one gave a shit. And the cops, I mean, eventually they catch him. They get very lucky, and Simo will get to it. But this was a guy that he should have been caught way earlier than he was. But like the cops didn't want to do anything because it was also dealing with gay victims, and even like the family of one. This was how bad it was. Hired a private detective who took their money and literally didn't do anything, and then literally came back. Oh yeah, maybe he just skipped off town to one of the victims. It's like, what the fuck? This shit was crazy. Bad police work all around. No one giving a fuck because it dealt with black people or gay people and minorities and all this shit and the disenfranchised. And that's how we get Jeffrey Dahmer going out as long as he fucking did.
You
But
know,
go
looking
on.
at pictures of him, um, when he was a little bit younger, like he wasn't a bad looking guy. Like he's not necessarily my type, but if after a couple drinks and in low light settings, like he's not
Well, the
awful,
thing is also he was a fit guy. He was very much in shape because his dad was like obsessed with it. So his dad when he was young was like, hey buddy, you gotta be strong, you gotta do shit. And his dad got him to like lift weights and stuff and learn like wrestling so he could defend himself. And his dad was the one that taught him how to skin animals alive and shit like that. Like this is all like it's like his dad prepared him to be like an excellent serial killer. So you would see, if you look at Jeffrey Dahmer, he looks like a lean white guy, but then he fucking goes to take you down and he knows what he's doing, and he's also freakishly strong, and you're drugged. And he also started not just drugging people, but he escalated things. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you, brain. Where he would have like a victim in his apartment, and he always had a thing where he would be watching like The Exorcist or something, and he convinced people, come in my apartment, I'll take pictures of you, whatever, I'll pay you $200. That's all that's gonna happen. Maybe we'll have sex, whatever. But he even started drilling holes in people's fucking brains into their skulls, because his goal was to create like a sex slave for himself that was like a sex zombie he could bang. So at first he like put some kind of like acid in them to see if he could keep them alive, and just kind of like blah, 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 blah. And then another one he did water, and he kept this guy alive like 2 or 3 days. Like he was literally like doing like the worst experiments ever on people with the goal of having like a weird sex slave, because he said that he hated killing, but he couldn't have sex with live people because he hated how they moved and shit. And it was like he couldn't help but to kill. Like this guy was crazy. And he's one that, we talked about how do you prevent things in the future. They arrested him earlier for like jerking off in front of kids and stuff. And the people who managed his case file literally said he is very likely to reoffend. Like we should not release this guy. He is clearly like not sorry at all. He's just more like thinking that his crime is because he jerked off to an underage boy, as opposed to like the severity of the situation. Like if we let this guy go, he will kill again, or he will kill or do something awful in the future. And no one gave a fuck.
No, Evan Peters played this role beautifully, and I think he got a Golden Globe for it.
And I think that's also why Jeffrey Dahmer has become kind of like a fashion icon, because people like Evan Peters a lot.
Oh, he's incredible.
Yeah, so I think that helped. It's like when they cast Zac Efron to play Ted Bundy. You know what I mean? It's like, what are you doing, bro? You're trying to get people to have a hard-on for this killer. But that's kind of how women viewed Ted Bundy back in the day. So to me, it made sense. But it's crazy.
Zac Efron was great in that too.
Yeah, he was. He was good.
Talented kid. Well, this is how Dahmer got caught. So Dahmer's killing spree ended in 1991 when Tracy Edwards escaped. He ran down the street in handcuffs and flagged down police. They followed him back to Dahmer's apartment and found Polaroids, dismembered body parts in the fridge and the freezer, and like you said, a barrel of acid in the corner of his apartment. Dahmer calmly confessed like he was explaining his weekend. The case was open, shut, and forever burned into crime history.
And even this was like the cop didn't want to do anything. The dude gets away from Dahmer and he's handcuffed running down the street. So he flags down these cops who are literally like, fuck, here we go. We got another gay black guy here. We got fuck, So the guy, the victim, and here's another crazy thing. The victim was more concerned, like I said about this earlier, that the cops didn't think that he was gay. So he was trying to set an alibi to basically clear him from being gay. But he's like, I just don't want to go back to this building. Just please get me away from here. But the cops went to Jeffrey Dahmer's building to get the handcuff key, essentially. Yeah. And Jeffrey Dahmer, when he knocks on the door, he goes, oh, I don't know where it is. It's here somewhere. And the cop comes in, but he's doing everything possible to just get the key and get the fuck out. Like the cop wanted nothing to do with this. And then they walked into his bedroom and saw a human body still there and shit. And at that point, Jeffrey Dahmer apparently tried to like run. And then the cops were like, fuck. But it was like almost beating them over the head with this murder, everything against their will to fucking actually do good police work came into play here. And it was like, dude, here, will you just catch me already? Like, what the fuck? So it just goes to show. And the cops really go a long way into making these serial killers stay in business. And this was no exception. But that, ladies and gentlemen, was our list of the top 10 gay serial killers that will make you rethink that late night grinder message. You watch out and trust anyone, no matter what the fuck you are. And let us know what you thought of the list. Let us know if there's any that you know of that could be good for a future episode or any that we missed. Shoot us an email at fratchatpodcast@gmail.com. You can suggest any future topics and things like that. Have any questions? You can tell Steam to fuck off. Go ahead. Send us an email, fratchatpodcast@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow on all social channels at FratChat Podcast. That's on Instagram. That's on Facebook. That's on Threads. That's on YouTube. That's on Twitter/X. You also give me a follow. Check out my website, carlosgarciacomedy.com, or you can give me a follow on all my social channels at Carlos Does the World. That's on Instagram. That's on TikTok. That's on Threads. That's on YouTube, Facebook. Carlos Does World on Twitter/X. And last but not least, make sure you follow my good buddy Steve over here.
Heyo.
That's right, Chris Moore Comedy. That's on Instagram and TikTok, and See More Comedy on Twitter/X. Oh yeah. With that being said, Mr. Mo, it's time for us to go. So why don't you please get us out of here?
Well, before, can I just remind everyone that's listening that gay or straight, just share your location with your best friend. You know what I mean? Like, come on. You know what I mean? This day and age is no excuse not to just someone in your close circle whenever you're going on a date with someone you don't know. Just over communicate.
Remember the buddy system.
Anyway, that being said, I'd like to motion to adjourn this meeting so I can snuggle up underneath my sheets and think about today's episode.
And I second. All right, you guys, we'll be back next week with another edition of the greatest podcast in the history of podcasts and time. It's the FratChat Podcast. See ya.
Toodles.